Good evening, TikTok. This is Miriam Orso with Team My Heart for Jesus. I just wanted to come to you guys with a quick word today. A word, from the Lord about unforgiveness. I watched two sermons yesterday by Bishop T. Jakes, who I love dearly. But in some of his message, he was talking about as far as having a pure heart and, not forgiving people that hurt you and thinking that they got away with what they did to you, the wrong they did to you, thinking that they got away with it. So you're holding grudges in your heart, and it's keeping you kind of just beat up in a nutshell. Well, I wanted to let you guys know that the Lord spoke to me today after I heard that message last night. I talked to my sister, and I was just telling her because, we all have had people that have offended us, and we also have offended other people as well. It's easy for us to want forgiveness, but then we don't want to forgive anybody else when they do it, or we'll say we forgive them, but we really don't forgive them. So with that being said, I know I talked to my sister about, we not knowing, that we think people don't have to answer for what they did to us when they do, because in fact, we may walk around feeling sad and depressed because how somebody treated us, and thinking that, they just living their life because I see them driving a new car, new house, they got a family, they got this, they got that going, they're on top of the world. But what you don't see is how God is dealing with them, because God is clear in his word in Romans about vengeance being his. So you don't never have to worry about getting back even or doing something with someone, because vengeance is the Lord. If you sit back and you still have a humble heart towards the situation, and you truly forgive them and you pray for them and recognize that it's spirits that people deal with and that are on people that cause them to do certain things. So therefore, if you take it from that approach, let God deal with them. Because while they walking around, you thinking they walking around in peace and comfort and happy and everything, you never know. God can be bringing you to their remembrance constantly. Well, sometime they'll come back and apologize to you, and sometime they'll be so bitter about it and so resentful against God's word on what he's telling them to come back and apologize, because their pride's taking over, that they'll live life in that moment of beating themselves up or unhappiness, and they don't even know why they're unhappy, because they never obeyed God when he told them to come back to you or apologize to you. But with that being said, I'll tell you a quick little story. I had a coworker when I used to work in federal government, that we used to be very close friends, and then some things started transpiring. When my husband would come on the floor, she would run at the door, be in his face, just all kind of stuff, just all the time. So, he kind of felt some kind of way, like this woman's always run up here. And one day she told me, she said, well, your husband comes to the floor, but he never says anything to me. And I said to her well, when he's coming here, he's coming to handle business with me, his wife. His business is with no one else. So, of course, he's not going to say anything but hello, and that's it. And I said, when women start doing that, a lot of women will take, offense, or thinking that, you want their husband to hit on you, or you want to hit on them, or whatever the case may be. So she just kind of took it and got so mad at me and so angry and had such an attitude to where she just completely flipped out and started spazzing out, like she was causing problems and chaos all the time. We get patients on the floor. She was always trying to turn patients against me. She get new staff on the floor, tried to turn new staff against me. Like, she just really gave me a hard time every day. There's even times where she got to the point where she wanted to walk towards me and bump up against me. Just it got really bad. And I started having to just, fall back, because I'm like, my flesh at that point, this was some years ago, actually about maybe 7 or 8 years ago. But my flesh at that point, I wasn't like I am now, thinking about how to deal with people. I've never been a violent person. And it takes a lot when I used to get upset like that. It would take a lot, because I would just let it pile on and pile on. And I got to the point like my flesh just couldn't deal with it anymore. And I was starting to feel, some kind of way about the lady. So I had to really go talk to God in prayer. And I got along when I used to read the Daily Bread. And so I just got along and started reading that every day. And I started talking to God, and I just, forgave her and just left it alone. And so I prayed for God to move me off the floor. Once I moved off the floor, I went, to HR. And it was kind of like the entry level position of HR. Well, as I was in HR, my job was to look over resumes, help people apply for federal jobs, that kind of stuff, assist them if they needed different places in the hospital called other specialists to come up front if they had meetings. For new hire orientation, I did that stuff to bring on new employees. Just a few different things. And people come in for their physicals, take them for that stuff and check them in. Well, she would come over needing help with her resume, and she would always not let me do it and want to request a specialist to come do it. But the specialist, that wasn't their job. I was the front desk person, frontline person in HR to, help everybody when they come in and want to apply for a job. She just would not let me do my job for the life of me. And I tell you, made my life hell up there. Just always coming there loud, just all over the place. So they would be looking like, Miriam, what's wrong with this lady? I said, so finally I had to explain to my supervisor, like, if this lady when she kept coming over there and she was so rude and disrespectful and never wanted me to help her, I had to explain to my supervisor what happened on the other floor previous before I came there. So they was like, okay, well, we understand. So we would try to just get somebody else to interact with her so that way it just can keep conflict down. Well, I didn't worry about it anymore. I just still left it alone. So one day I was leaving to go on lunch. And mind you, she kept trying to apply for different jobs throughout the federal government in different places and trying to go to leave the VA she was at and go to another VA in a different state. But when I tell you them doors stayed closed, that nothing was happening for her, she was just like, I don't know why I'm not getting a job. She was aggravated. And the floor we were on previous, the nursing floor, she started having problems on that floor with the employees, other employees. From the supervisor was giving her a hard time. The patients, like, she just started kind of just reaping all kind of hell on that floor. So she was very upset and wanted to get off the floor. Well, one day she came to me just out of nowhere after I still would speak to her. Even when she wouldn't speak to me, I still speak, still was always polite. So she came to me one day after the blue. I was on my way going to lunch, and she says to me, I just want to come and I just want to say to you, I'm sorry for everything I've done for you. When I tell you, I was shocked and floored. Like, I was just like, where'd that come from? Like, out the blue. I just wasn't expecting that. Didn't have a phone call, a text message, and then she just walked over to me. And I was actually hesitant to stop and talk to her because I was just like, oh, I don't want the negative vibe of this. I'm going to keep on going and just stay out of her way. Stay out of my way, I stay out of her way. But I was actually shocked that she came and apologized. And lo and behold, later on, she let me help her do her resume, and she ended up getting a job, in a different state. And she was just so happy that she never got off the floor. But I'm just telling you, sometimes God will block people's, blessing or hold them up. Well, they be holding themselves up because of their behavior, for one. But, you think they progressing, but they're not progressing. I mean, because God he's serious about his word, So when they're thinking that they got away with something, from my experience, they haven't got away with it. So that's why I really don't try to hold, grudges against people or be hateful. Even if somebody say, oh, they did you wrong, you should do this and that. It's just not worth it because I know God's going to take care of it because I've seen him do it before and I trust his word. So I don't have to take vengeance on him. They Father that created him will take vengeance on him. Because he loved each and every last one of us, no matter what our sins or what we do, he still loves us. So that's like you being a mom or a dad. You're not going to let your older kids pick on your younger kids. You're not going to let your younger kids pick on your older kids. Everybody's going to have respect and boundaries and treat each other accordingly, because if they don't, there's going to be consequences. So I think the same thing would apply to God, with us being his children. There's consequences for my behavior, your behavior, somebody else's behavior, and if it's not in right standing with God, how we treat people, he's going to deal with us about that. So, just take heart and let go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. It's not worth it. It's not worth your peace. It's not worth, your stress level. Is not worth you having to go get a drink at night, or do a drug or shop with it. It's not worth it. Let it go. Forgive them. Tell God, if you don't know how to forgive them, I need you to help me forgive them. I want to forgive them. Please help me forgive them. I want to forgive them. I want to bless them, because I don't want to carry this burden of unforgiveness and bitterness in my heart. I trust your word, that your word's not going to come back void, and you are a man that you shouldn't lie, that vengeance will be yours. But I pray, God, I pray that you have mercy on them, Lord. And you let it go. But that's it for this evening. I'm going to finish cooking my dinner, and I love you guys. Be blessed. Stay prayed up. Keep God first in your life, and you can do all things through Christ. Have a great day.